Hi, I'm George K. This is my father Niels.
Hi.
Welcome back to another episode of Father and Sonthesizer. Today we're going to be showing you another STM Essential project based on the STM Essential PCB we did way back when. And today's project is a MIDI synced LFO. Now, why would you want a MIDI synced LFO? It's actually quite easy. You have your song going at a certain tempo. This runs with a MIDI clock usually, and the MIDI synced LFO makes sure that modulation happens in time to the music.
In sync, eh?
Yeah, in sync and in time to the music.
Mm-hmm.
Another advantage of this design was that I wanted a very small footprint on the front panel. And before I show you the MIDI LFO, let me just tease something. Later on in this episode we have something special for when we reach 500 subscribers. But for now, let's check out the MIDI LFO. Right, so welcome back to the studio. Here's the generative rack, and right to the left of it, I've got my modular bass synthesizer. And down here, let me just adjust the camera, you find the quad MIDI LFO. And as you can see, we have one potentiometer up here to choose which LFO you're controlling, 1 to 4, and they're all color-coded down there at the bottom with an LED. Down here we have the clock, which goes from 4 bars, that's 4x4 bars, to 1 32nd. Then we have the waveform selection, which goes from triangle, ramp, sawtooth, square, sample and hold, and sample and glide. And what those are, I'll go into more detail in a bit. And we also have a volume output, here volume potentiometer. I'm not quite sure if it works correctly yet. This is still a prototype as always. Then we have MIDI I/O here. This is being fed by the veterinary's clock. Down here we have the outputs with corresponding LEDs. Now let's listen to this. We have LFO4 selected down here, which is going through this cable up to my modular bass synth. This is modulating the top VCO. Listen to this. This is the sample and hold, by the way. Now let's play with the volume. And let's also check out the waveform. Let's change it to square. Let's check out the sawtooth. The ramp. And the triangle. Now let's check out the sample and hold again. This is pretty much what you'd expect, basically random voltage. And now let's check out the sample and glide. What this does is glide from one sample and hold value to the next in a smooth curve, so it doesn't have these hard edges that the sample and hold does. And now let's check out the MIDI sync. I'm going to program a drum beat on my drum fountain, and then change the tempo on veterinary's clock, and play a little bass line at the same time so you can hear what that sounds like. Right then, now that we've seen the MIDI LFO, let's talk about it. So this is based on the STM Essential PCB.
Indeed. I took a look at this quite old project now, and I found that the PCB is a bit too large for the standard size PCBs you can buy, which is like 10 centimeters wide.
Which we recently have switched to because the supply of our 80s PCBs is slowly but surely running low.
Right. And
we want to save them for the massive PCBs.
Yeah.
Because eventually we want to build a polyphonic analog synthesizer, and we're going to need a lot of PCB space for that.
Somewhere in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Far
but I took a look at a larger size PCB, and they're quite expensive. So we decided, okay, we're gonna save the old ones. Now the redesign took place, and I built that PCB, and I discovered that usually, if you remember, I was using two layers of film on each side for the PCB, because the laser toner is not that light tight. Yeah, so
it's not that it doesn't blind out all the light.
The density of the toner is not high enough. So I was using two layers of film on each side, and
like it's clear plastic foil.
And it's not enough. Simply not enough. I do get a lot of etching errors, and so I decided to go to 3 layers, and wow, what a difference. Now my PCBs are almost perfect when they come out of the etching bath.
So keep in mind 3 layers of clear plastic foil.
Yeah. Once I had the new PCB,
the design 1.4.
1.4, I think it is. Yes. The first test I did was, what is the rate I can feed the MCP 49?
For MCP 4922.
The MCP 4922.
That's our digital to analog converter.
That's a digital to analog converter. And what is the rate we can feed it with? Because the very first time we used the Essential PCB.
That was for the function generator.
Exactly. We had the effect that when the LFO was turned up and down, the frequency of the function generator itself changed.
Like the oscillator.
The oscillator, and I blamed that on the DUC.
Because there wasn't enough processing power.
That's what I thought.
But then you did a test. You just did nothing. The code was nothing but just put out the highest rate signal that you can, basically.
Right.
And you said it was something like 12 microseconds?
12 microseconds, which is well above the audio rate. So I feel quite confident to use this chip a little bit more often.
Yeah, because the standard STM only has 2 analog outputs, and for the design of this MIDI LFO we needed at least 4, to have 4 separate LFOs going at the same time.
So once that was clarified, the rest of the code was not simple, but also not very complicated.
Yeah, not too difficult.
Yeah.
We just we had to make sure it's synced to the MIDI, because MIDI comes in at 24 pulses per quarter, and from that you had to calculate what each of the rates of the cycles was, the cycle lengths.
For all the engineers out there, that's at 120 beats per minute. 120 beats per minute. That's roughly 21
20.84 milliseconds
per
pulse.
Per each pulse. Yes.
And you 24 of those is a quarter.
Yeah.
12 of those is an eighth, and such. This is.
I remember we are having like discussions for
days
about until I finally understood.
Yeah, and we only let this go up to 32. How do you even say that? I don't know. It's rarely used in musical speech, because we thought if we made this audio rate, it would slow down the other LFOs or overload the processor or something. So just to be on the safe side, we stuck to 32. You could probably go higher,
I guess,
but we haven't tried it yet. Yeah. Now let's get to the interesting part.
Indeed.
So this past Friday, we reached 400 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we never imagined getting that many.
Right. That's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
I never thought we'd get over 50.
No.
But when we reach 500 subscribers, we want to do a giveaway. We want to give away one of our STM Essential PCBs.
The newest, shiniest, nicest ones.
Yeah, and this is not going to be some crazy giveaway where you have to compose a song or something. It's just going to be like click to enter, basically. And it's not running yet. It's going to have to wait until we get 500 subscribers, which is probably going to be in the next couple of weeks, maybe half a month or something, half a year or something.
When it comes to the 500th subscriber and we start our little giveaway, we hope that until then we have a couple of projects that run on this Essential Shield.
Because we already have the MIDI LFO.
Yeah.
We have plans for a quad envelope generator.
Yes. And we have some generative things.
Yeah, some generative things, and we also want to port some of our older modules like the clock and the MIDI, the clock and the melody fountain, and also the wavetable synthesizer 2.0 is in planning stages. And we want all of that to run on the STM Essential Shield. So if you win this or build it yourself, you're going to be able to run any of our modules. You just have to make a faceplate yourself, and you can do that out of wood, you can build one out of plastic, use an old cardboard box or whatever.
Right.
Be inventive.
So the idea behind this is to have a standard platform for our microcontroller DIY projects.
So basically what we want is for this PCB to be as versatile as possible. And with that we come quite abruptly to the comments, because we got quite a few in the last episode. I'm just going to hand pick out one that's going to inspire some discussion. This was from a Joshua Kübler. So cool, sounds great. Lucky to have such a cool dad too. Don't take him for granted. Did either of you go to school for electronics? And
well, first of all, he doesn't take me for granted. I can assure you, and I don't take him for granted. It's just great to have a son that I can work with.
Ditto.
Yeah, it's amazing. I never dreamt of this. And yeah, I was studying to become an electronics engineer at the University of Braunschweig. So I studied this stuff more or less.
Back in the 70s, 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
Hey, don't make me older than I am.
Also in 20 days, happy birthday.
Right.
So thank you, Joshua, for commenting, and you feel free to leave a comment as well about anything. If you're building one of our projects and want some advice, need some help with problem solving, we are always here to help. Just write me on YouTube, on Reddit, on Instagram, which is on the screen now, and also there's a contact form on our website which goes directly to my email inbox. Thank you very much for watching. We hope to see you again in 2 weeks. And remember, stay curious.
Easy life, would I ever find you in an easy life? You fabricate my flaws. I can't tell if I'm ready or not, but I try to keep my promises and hide.